the legend himself, Randy Orton. And followed by that is his lovely sister, Becky. Randy said the first time in the ring. And of course, one of the other members of the family, somebody that I went and listened to a couple times with Mom and Dad, and I'm talking about their brother, Nate. That's how it is done. What do you think about that, Jimmy?
I thought he looked pretty good.
Good.
Does he go to Cowboy Bob's school? Are you thinking
There
here?
you go. Randy, I'm going to turn this over to you because there's nobody I know that can do justice to Bob Orton Jr. than you three. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. So watching that video was very cool, and I noticed everybody had a reaction to my father when he was selling certain things in the ring. It made you feel a certain way, and that is just one of the things that he did, dare I say, better than anybody else. The people at the kids, the students at the Ace Wrestling Academy are very fortunate to have him as their mentor because they're learning shit like that. That's where I learned that kind of stuff, and I owe everything, any success I've had in professional wrestling, I owe it to you, Bob. There's a lot of guys, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, guys like that had to find a way into the business on their own. And they didn't have a father and a grandfather and an uncle in the business. And my foot was in the door before I even knew I wanted to become a professional wrestler. So I had that opportunity because of all the hard work that you put in, all the thousands and thousands of miles driving up and down the road. St. Louis is wrestling town. It is now, it was especially a wrestling town back in the day. It was the heart and soul of the NWA. Anybody that was anybody, once you came through St. Louis, you were on the way to making it. Is there like a place I need to stand for that stuff? Once you came through St. Louis, you knew you were on your way to making a name for yourself in this business. Chase Park Plaza, wrestling at the Chase. Chase Park Plaza, other than Madison Square Garden, is probably the most famous wrestling venue in the country. And my father didn't really work at Chase Park Plaza all that much, but my grandfather did. He was actually featured in the very first televised episode of Wrestling at the Chase in 1959, May of 1959. Yeah, so the Orton name goes way, way back. It starts with my grandfather, my uncle, and of course, my father, who, along with my mom, can't leave you out. You were there the whole time, man. You were the glue. But they moved 20 times on the dot before I was born, all over the country, from town to town, territory to territory. Finally, had a little baby named Randy, Randall with one L, actually, thanks Mom. In Knoxville, Tennessee, I was born, and I think we lived in a couple other places, Kentucky, Connecticut, eventually settled in St. Louis in about '83. And from there, my father started with the WWF and was a part of the very first WrestleMania, as we all just saw, and as most of you probably already know. And one of my favorite memories from my career is performing in my very first WrestleMania, WrestleMania 20, at Madison Square Garden. And the best part about that night likes of Ric Flair, Mick Foley, and The Rock, and Batista, and it was just, looking back, you know, for him to think at the very first WrestleMania, to not have an idea of how this thing would end up the following year, the year after that, 20 years later, now 40 years later, like he was involved in the beginning of something that would take the world by storm and would be about as mainstream as it gets. He paved the way for guys like me, the kids, the student that he teaches twice a week at the Ace Wrestling Academy. He paved the way for all the guys in the back at my work, whether it's AEW, WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, Japan. Men like him paved the way. But that's not all he did. He wasn't just a professional wrestler. Back then, the money earning potential wasn't like it is now. I think we all know that. And he busted his ass for every cent that he made. And what really impresses me about my father is the sacrifices he made to make sure that we had food on the table. Because even though his love was professional wrestling, he tried his hand at other things too. He bounced at a bar over in Alton, Illinois for a little while. I remember seeing him come home, and I'm probably 10, 11, 12 years old. He had to wear a white shirt. I'll never forget on several occasions him coming home just covered in blood. And you know, one of those famous lines like, "Don't worry kid, it's not my blood." Yeah. My dad's the toughest guy I've ever known. That, without a doubt, the toughest dude I've ever known. He worked construction. He went in and owned a gym with a fella and kind of got screwed on the deal and just like didn't matter. Picked up the bootstraps and he tried his hand at truck driving. Drove school kids to school, drove buses. He ended up selling cars, and this isn't a knock at all. This shows you what kind of man he is. He couldn't do what he loved, but he did what he had to do because he loved his family more than anything else. That brings us to where we are today. We're honoring him. Dad, you're already in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I'm honored that, just like Grandpa, you can be a part of the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Give it up to my sister, everybody. She busts her ass too as a nurse. She's out there helping everybody when they need it the most. Ladies and gentlemen, my sister, Becky.
So no, I just wanted to mention how Randy said how my dad really tested his butt when we were young. He also made a lot of time for me just as an athlete, and I love that he was always there for me. He'd go outside with me, play basketball, let me, and he'd, just showed a lot of interest in my sports and always came to all my basketball games, softball games, and everything. Now with that said, he was a total hard ass growing up, extremely strict. But now with my 3 kids, he's the biggest teddy bear grandpa. So yes, he's a tough SOB, but he's got a heart of gold, and I love you so much. And my big brother took after you, and I took after my mom.
Hi. Hello. Keep it going for my lovely sister, Becky. And my lovely brother, Randy. It was fun getting in the ring for you all. I almost died. And just thank you very much. Just So everyone knows I was not adopted. I was born 8 years after Randy, and in that time, the quality of sperm greatly decreased. Thank you. I took after Dad too. You see, Randy became a wrestler, but I totaled several cars. We had to swerve out of the way of those deer, didn't we? No, but I always knew Dad was tough because he would swim the entire length of our neighborhood pool without, in just one breath, back and forth like 3 times. Then he'd stand up out of the water and exhale his cigarette smoke. I was like, that's my dad, you know? Then he got out of the water in his little wrestling tights. And I was like, that's my dad. But no, it was cool growing up having a dad, you know, where I could be like, my dad could beat up your dad and make it look pretty good. But I always knew wrestling was real ever since my first spanking. You couldn't even sit down afterwards, because all the chairs were broken. I used to get beat up sometimes in school. I got off the bus one time, I got beat up by my bully, and I came home and told my dad. And the next day when I got off the bus with my bully, my dad's sitting there in the front yard watching us to make sure I sold it right, you know? You guys are a good crowd, thanks. But I wrestled Little League for a while, and my dad, he just said, he was like, don't tell, I can't do his voice. Don't tell, yeah, it's terrible. He was like, don't tell Randy, but you're actually better than him. But he was just trying to protect my feelings, because now that I think back, he was like, you know, you're so good at wrestling, you don't even need to do it anymore. You don't need to do it. You should quit, you're great. But here's the thing, it was good because I don't have wrestling in me. It's not what I wanted to do with my life, and it has to be what you're passionate about to do it. I see it in my brother, what he's put his body through, my dad, getting out of the chair, the fucking wrestling match he has with the recliner. These guys put their, you know, your heart, your soul, your blood, your sweat, your tears, most of all your body. And I just want to say, like, Dad, we were really proud of you and we love you. And why don't you get your ass up here and accept your award?
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, this is the legend right here. Cowboy Orton Jr. And let's don't forget the entire Orton family standing here in the front row. We thank you for allowing us to have him entertain us all these years. Get where you're at. Here you go. Why don't you come on up here? Bob, I tell you, all serious now, I love you. You know that. You got a great family. And what I really like about it is every time I call you and tell you I got a trip for you, you'll say, I'm done. I don't want to do it no more. When are we going? So this is the class of 2024 that we are so proud to have you in the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame and taking a part in there with Grandpa, and we're really honored.
That was fantastic. This means a lot to me. So thank you very much. I didn't have a whole lot to say, but I did.
There's one thing, I always learn something every day, and I learned something tonight, that if by God there is a Fan Fest 3, I just found us an app. That's Nathan. How many want to see Nathan come back here? Last time I saw that by Fan Fest 3. That's a show on its own. What do you think, Jimmy Hart?
It's a home run, baby.
It's a home run. We have another presentation for you here. Got Orton number 24 in the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Thank you, sir. I hope it fits. If not, get it back to us and Nick will get you another one. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, right here, once again, the Orton family. Well, give it up for them. Thank you. Wow. What do you think, Jimmy?
I thought it was awesome, man. That was great. That was great. Hey, one more time while they're leaving the ring, let's give it up for them one more time, please. The Horton family.